Hello, and welcome to WordPress Essential Training. My name is Morten Rand Hendrickson. I'm a staff author here at lynda.com, and I'm really excited to take you with me on this journey as we explore my favorite web publishing application, WordPress. This course is a comprehensive breakdown of WordPress and how to use it to build websites and blogs and publish your content on the web. Whether this is the first time you're using WordPress or you're brushing up on everyone's favorite content management system, this course has everything you need and more. To simplify the learning process, I've structured the chapters based on common tasks. We'll start by setting up WordPress and getting familiar with the admin interface. Then we'll create posts and pages and add media items like images and videos to them. We'll look at how to customize the appearance of your site with themes and how to extend the functionality of WordPress with plugins. And to wrap things up, we'll talk about user management, advanced settings, security, and getting readers to your site. More than anything, this course is built to get you up and on your way with your own WordPress site. You'll learn how to master common tasks, and I'm here to help you get it right the first time. So I've crammed the course full of tips and information learned from years of working with the application. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get cracking with WordPress Essential Training. WordPress as we know it is about to change in a very big way, and before that happens, it's important that you know what's changing, how these changes will impact you, and most importantly, how to get ready. Let me introduce you to the new content creation and editing experience in WordPress, codenamed Gutenberg. When you create or edit a post or page, this new version of WordPress will give you a whole new level of control over every piece of content, enabling you to create visually compelling content for your website. All of this is made possible thanks to the introduction of content blocks. Here are the 3 things you need to know. Number 1, everything in the editor is now a block. When you write an article, it's easy to think of all the text and images and other media in that article as one single blob of content, but that also means the content is relatively inflexible and visually dull. The WordPress block editor quite literally breaks apart that whole idea by treating each individual piece of content within the post or page as its own block with its own unique properties. That means you can select a paragraph and give it a drop cap or some bigger font, maybe a background color, and change the text color as well. And when you do, it only applies to that one block you're working with. It means you can change the properties or type of any block inline right in the editor. It means you can select an image or an image gallery or any other content and align it left or center or right, or if the theme supports it, now align it wide or full width to take up more space. It means you can click anywhere within your content, click on the plus button, and then choose from a long list of rich blocks to add anywhere within your content. And finally, once you have blocks, it means you can move those blocks around within your content to reorganize your content without having to cut and paste. Which brings us to number 2. Every block has unique properties and abilities. The WordPress block editor gives you 2 contexts to work within: the post or page context for the whole view and the block context for each individual block. In the post or page context, you'll find all the classic controls for your content, from categories and tags to featured images, etc. In the new block context, you'll find controls for each individual block, giving you full control over every aspect of your content. Each block also has inline controls for alignments and block types that surface when you hover over it, and a context menu where you can edit the block as HTML, duplicate it, convert it to a shared block so it can be used in several different places across your site, and also transform a block into another type of block. And finally, number 3, blocks are just the beginning. Right now, Gutenberg is a WordPress block editor. That's just step 1 though. Once the new block editor for WordPress ships in WordPress 5.0, work begins on expanding this block concept from the editor to the customizer and eventually the whole view. Over the next couple of years, the idea of posts and pages in WordPress will evolve into something entirely different. Rather than posts and pages, we'll create collections of blocks to be configured to fit whatever requirements the content author and visitor have. The next version of WordPress is just around the corner. And now that you've seen what's coming, I'm sure you're itching to try it out for yourself. And you can. Just go to the WordPress admin panel, select Plugins and Add New, make a search for Gutenberg, and install and activate the Gutenberg plugin. Once the Gutenberg plugin is up and running, go create new content with a WordPress block editor, find ways it can improve your content creation process, and provide feedback to the development team. The next version of WordPress is waiting for you. Even though the WordPress block editor is still in beta, it's important that you take it for a spin and familiarize yourself with its features today. Here's how to get started, right after this important message. Since the WordPress block editor and the Gutenberg plugin is still beta software, I recommend installing it in a test environment, either on your computer or on a staging server. While the block editor is pretty stable and shouldn't cause any issues, it's a good idea to take it for a test drive in a safe environment as you get familiar with its new features. Upgrading your WordPress site to the new block editor is a straightforward process. Go to the back end of your WordPress site and select Plugins from the main admin menu. Then select Add New to search for new plugins. Make a search for Gutenberg. And when you find the plugin with the fancy logo, click Install Now to install it into your WordPress site. And then Activate to activate the plugin. Once the plugin has been activated, you get a new option in the main admin menu here at the bottom called Gutenberg. To get started, go to this menu option and select Demo. This takes you to a demo post in the Gutenberg editor showcasing many of the new features, including the cover image block at the top, where text is superimposed on top of an image. You can now edit this post to your heart's content and even publish it so you can see what all of these new blocks look like on the front end. And this brings me to an important point. Since the block editor is new, many themes have limited support for it. That means what you see on the back end may not match what you see on the front end exactly, in particular if you are using the wide or full width content options. This is also one of the reasons why you should take the block editor for a spin today, to find out if your current theme takes full advantage of the new block features. Once you install the Gutenberg plugin, the new WordPress block editor becomes the default editor for both posts and pages. As you familiarize yourself with this block editor, keep this front of mind. WordPress is an open source project built for the people who use it, by the people who use it. That means you too. So when you come across something unexpected, or have an idea for a new feature, or just a question about how something works, go to the Gutenberg option in the main admin menu and select from one of two options: feedback or documentation. If you provide feedback, that feedback will be sent straight to the developers. If you click on documentation, you'll find the official documentation for the block editor. And finally, if you want to take a more active role in the development of the WordPress block editor, you can also visit the GitHub repository for the project at github.com/WordPress/Gutenberg. Here you can submit bugs and feature requests in the form of issues and take part in the discussion about the future of WordPress. So, install the Gutenberg plugin and start using the next version of WordPress today. The WordPress block editor was designed and developed to be as simple to use as possible. That said, knowing a bit about how it works as you get started goes a long way, so let me give you a brief tour of some key features. First off, creating content from scratch. The block editor is a smart editor that anticipates your behavior. That means if you just want to type out a bunch of content and don't want to be bothered by the block editor, just type out that content. The block editor gets out of the way and lets you do your own thing. Which brings us to point number 2. Anytime you want to add a new piece of content, you have 3 options. Either place your cursor at the end of a block and simply hit return. This will create a new block for you. Or place your mouse where you want the block to appear, and you'll see a line appear. You then click on that line, and a new block will be entered. Or place your cursor where you want the block to appear and click on the block button in the top left-hand corner. Once you've added a block, you can then click on the plus symbol to get a list of all the available blocks you can add in. And here you can either go from the suggested blocks, you can get a full list of all available blocks, you can see a list of all the embeds you can place into WordPress content, and if you've created any shared blocks, they will also be listed here. This feature also allows you to do text searches for specific blocks. If you know you're going to add a column, you simply start typing in column and all the column options appear. Third, to change the type or property of an existing block in line, move your mouse and click anywhere inside the block, or use your keyboard to focus on the block in question. This opens the block toolbar on the left-hand side where you can change block-specific features like alignments or heading levels or whatever else applies to this particular block. And you can also change the block type through the dropdown to other related blocks. In addition, you'll find a block settings menu on the right-hand side where you can access additional settings like edit as HTML, duplicate, convert to shared block, and transform. And you can also access the trash button, which removes this particular block. Fourth, to change more advanced properties for a block, select the block and go to the block component panel in the sidebar. Here you get access to the block-specific features for further customization. As you get started, I recommend adding a bunch of different blocks to a post and checking out this panel for each of the blocks so you get an idea of what properties are available and what these blocks can do. Fifth, start thinking about your content as a collection of blocks. This makes it easier to remember that each block has its own properties, that blocks can be transformed to other blocks, and that blocks can be moved around and reorganized and copied and even shared across multiple posts and pages. Sixth, in the editor context, the block editor has some useful features, including this I button up here in the top left-hand corner, where you can get stats on the current post you're working with, word count, heading count, paragraph count, and block count, and a full document outline showing you a complete structural outline of your post with all your headings that even tells you if you've made a mistake, like I've set a heading here to H3 instead of H2, and you can use this document outline to navigate through the post down to specific headings. And finally, if you need the classic WYSIWYG editor and toolbar for some reason, there's a block for that. Just create a new block, click the plus symbol and search for Classic, and you'll find the Classic editor, and you get the full WYSIWYG editor with all the classic features, including the full kitchen sink of buttons. This is also what happens to your old content, by the way. The contents of posts and pages created before the block editor was enabled are contained in a single classic block. Once you're ready to upgrade a post or a page or anything written in a classic block, go to the block settings, and select Convert to Blocks, and all the pieces of content within that classic block get converted into individual blocks. Working with blocks is a whole new experience, and it takes some getting used to. A good thing to remember is WordPress saves everything you're doing as a revision, so you can always go back in time if you lose something, and within WordPress, it's very hard to break anything in a way that can't be fixed. Since I originally recorded this course, WordPress has gone through several version updates, and as of December 2016, we are now at version 4.7. Throughout the course, I've made updates to reflect new or changed features, and when I've done so, I'll let you know. Since the original recording, WordPress has added two new default themes, called 2016 and 2017. 2016 is a nice, ultra-minimalist theme that has some interesting customization features, and 2017 is a theme targeted at small businesses with a fancy front page. If you want to learn more about either of these default themes, check out my dedicated courses WordPress Themes 2016 and WordPress Themes 2017. As you follow along in this course, you can use whatever theme you like, but if you want to match my screen exactly, go to the WordPress backend, navigate to Appearance and Themes, and activate the theme called 2015. For WordPress 4.7, the major changes are found in the editor and the customizer. In the editor, the WYSIWYG toolbar options for the content editor have been reorganized and changed to make the most used tools easier to access and keyboard shortcuts more readily available. In the customizer, you'll find new editing icons telling you what features in the preview can be edited. There's also added support for video headers and additional CSS. All these changes will be covered in more details, the editor in Chapter 3 and the customizer in Chapter 7. One of the great things about working with WordPress is that it's constantly being updated and improved, and as new features come online, I'll make updates to this course to keep you in the know. Now you know what's new in WordPress 4.7, and it's time to get cracking.